certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified real. Airborne.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is certified.
Welcome back, Real Talk Family. We're back with another hot topic. We got the usual, myself, X, and Terrell. And then we got a new co-host that's joining us today. I would like to show my appreciation. We finally got some diversity on the show. And I want everybody to clap it up and welcome Jen to the podcast. Thank you, Jen. We do appreciate you joining us. But really quick, let's tell the people a little bit about yourself really quick before we dive into our discussion today.
I am Jen. I went to the University of Tampa. I am 25. I'm a Capricorn. My dream is to be a publicist. That's my goal. My dream goal is to be a publicist for someone in the industry. I still live in Tampa, and right now I'm working for a TV station, and I'm hoping that can segue into moving to California in a few years and making my dreams come true. Yay!
It's fire.
It is dope. I think I said I'm a Capricorn. I can't get
Man, you astrologers making me sick, bro. You just had to laugh, man.
All right, so today's topic is a dope one. I've been seeing this a lot all over with definitely different films dropping out this year, especially with The Harder They Fall, which we did a review on, so definitely go check that out. But my question, only to us here on the podcast, but to the audience and everybody that's watching, is why every time a Black creator, filmmaker, whatever the case may be, drops their art, a project, a movie, a music video, whatever the case may be, they're always overly critiqued and expected to be educators of everything Black, right? So, for example, to clear it up, we have the film The Harder They Fall. We all know that those characters in that film were actual people, actual cowboys, right? So we have, Luke, Rufus Buck, Nat Love, what is Bass Reeves? What is it?
Bass Reeves.
Bass Reeves, and Stagecoach Mary, right? There've been a lot of stuff going on through social media, whatever the case may be, about how they casted a light-skinned woman to play Stagecoach Mary, but in real life, Stagecoach Mary was an older, dark-skinned Black woman, right? And then they're claiming colorism or whatever the case may be, right? So I wanted to dive into this conversation and get everybody's viewpoint. So just off the rip, what are y'all thoughts on that?
I feel like I think when it comes from a creator who is Black, I think there's a slight hope that, maybe he, having known how things typically work in Hollywood and the media and the colorism that already exists, I think people sort of have a hope that, maybe this Black creator, this Black director, this Black writer will take a different route and, switch things up and give us the outlook that people have been waiting for and been excited for. And I think it can be kind of disappointing when he kind of falls in the same route that everything already goes in automatically, And I think naturally that's just how it's been going. And I think I see there's a common expectation for, Black creators to always, step outside the box and step up to the plate in a big way in any format, any genre, any, lane of work, especially obviously within the media, since there's so much outlook and views, from the Black community. I think people just have such a high hope and high expectation. And I think it's just damn, you really did that. We were expecting you to give us something different, within the Heights, when in the movie, when all of the people that were supposed to be from Brooklyn Heights, and they were all, light-skinned Latinas, and none of them were Afro-Latinas, and most of them are from the DR, and they do have Afro-Latina roots. People were hoping for something better, for something different. And it kind of felt like a bit of a letdown that, after all these years of facing this colorism, you know, here's someone who has who is a POC to some degree, and he's faced colorism himself. And, you know, the creator of that musical, people were hoping for a better outcome. And it was like, damn, we still messed up. And I mean, that director is an Asian man. So of course he has a different, you know, slightly different outlook and different thought processes, but it's always a hopeful concept. So we can just, I think people just feel like it's a bit of a letdown. And it's like, there's no hope for people who are not light skinned to make it or to be able to pass certain roles.
So really quick, because I think you had a lot that we should kind of like dissect a little bit, right? So I think there's a difference between In the Heights and the Harder They Fall, right? And I think I want to start that aspect of the conversation that I personally I'm not a big fan of this people of color grouping of how they work, right? Because the people of color grouping are not the same, right? Like the way Black people are treated is completely different than the way Asian Americans are treated, but they are grouping that together, right? Like I think that's just a fact. Like I think that's just how this country has gone, and I'm not trying to compare hardships or say one is harder, one was worse than the other, but there is a vast difference in Black people being treated in America or not, right? So I want to make that a huge difference. Like a Black woman in America get treated way different than a light-skinned, white-passing Latino woman, right? And the same 100%. As an Asian woman and stuff like that. And they treat Black people differently compared. So like this is not even like a thing that's just people of color versus everything else, right? So and I think there's a difference. And I think with the film The Harder They Fall, I feel there was no white perspective in charge of the film being made, right? Like that film was made strictly by Black creators, from the screenwriting up to the executive producers, right? Not saying that there wasn't people other than Black people on the cast helping, but the ones who's pushing the buttons and pushing who's in charge artistically were Black people, right? Was Black creators. And I think that's completely different compared to the Heights film, right? Like I feel like HBO had a control over that film, and we know who's at the top of HBO, right? So I think that's what I think at the end of the day, that's what that came down to, right? And for that argument that the community pushes against that, I'm 100% for, right? I'm 1000% for that, because a light-skinned Black woman, my complexion, right? I feel, yes, there's a difference, there's that colorism in it, but I think that's inside our community compared to like outside of the community. Like if you're, Black with a big nose, you're Black with a big nose, regardless of your skin complexion, right? And we've seen this in our history where we have white passing Black women who still get cut up and beat up because they found out that they was Black, right? They just made a film with Tessa Thompson that has that plot, and I can't remember the film at the moment, but I think. But my question is more so like us, our community, sitting down in a movie theater, sitting in front of Netflix, knowing or not knowing, right? But I would hope that people would do research into their films before they sit down and watch them, which I think they don't do, which is why we have this conversation. Because if you sat down and watch and see how Black these creators are, I think their perspective would be a little bit different, right? And it bothers me mainly because nobody said any noise about Dr. Don Shirley in the Green Book, right? Dr. Don Shirley is a light-skinned gay man in the 1960s portrayed by a dark-skinned Black man, right? A dark-skinned straight Black man, right? And there was no argument about Mashallah Ali playing Don Shirley, right? Yeah. And the movie was written by white creators, directed by white creators. It won Oscars. We was happy for Mashallah Ali. We clapped up and everything. But then when Black creators do that for us, by us, there's a problem, and then you have that issue. if that makes sense.
Whatever Hollywood tells you to like, that's what you like.
Mhm.
I think that plays a big role in all this. People like to play off of what's popular, what's being thrown around the most, or what's being talked about the most. If you look at the film The Harder They Fall, you don't really see a lot of these big platforms talk about it in the way that they talked about Green Book, right?
Mhm.
When Green Book came out, the critics were eating it up, and they was just really going in up until the point where it, eventually it got an Oscar. The Harder They Fall, I think it deserves the same, if not better, recognition, but it's not going to, because you have a purely authentic Black story utilizing a genre, that's, if you look at Westerns in general, it's predominantly white characters doing whatever they do. And we took it in a beautiful way. We added our own twist to it, added an all-star cast, and everything was just, in my opinion, and I'm sure we can all agree, it was performed at the highest level. So when you have, people on Twitter, on any like social media platform complaining about Stagecoach Mary not being the exact physical, skin tone as she was in the, how she is in real life, it just kind of just baffles me and it throws me off, because it's all coming from a group of Black people who know what they're doing. And,
Positive way.
In a positive way. It's not like, they sat in the casting room and was like, she's too Black, I want to cast her because she looks better. It's not coming from that place. That wasn't the intent. If that was the intent, they would have casted, a white person and did blackface. You know what I'm saying? So,
which they've done in our history. You know what I'm saying? Like they've done this. They've literally done this before. So that's why it bothers me so much when people over critique us as if we're not already, like, it's like we're already got to start at under the hill. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to start under the hill when it comes to our creativity, because we don't get a lot of films with this much freedom and this much creativity as Black creators. Like this is literally rare. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
On top of the fact that white creators steal opportunities from us, like Green Book. Like that's a clear-cut Black story that should have been told from a Black creator, right? And it wasn't a bad film, right? Once you sit back and you watch it and you get over the little nuances that get on your nerves, it's a well done film for their attention. For what they expected it to be. But at the end of the day, you didn't tell Don Shirley's story. You know what I'm saying? And you took an opportunity from a Black creator that could have told that story. So that's also a big thing that I feel like never gets talked about when it comes to these things. Like when we go to sit down and watch films, that rarely comes up. They'll come up with the colorism in a Black film before they talk about white creators stealing those opportunities.
I have a question. Do you guys think that most of the Black community actually forgot what a great Black story is and what it truly is? Because it seems like they're listening to white Hollywood and what they're pushing, what they're saying is a good story. Do you think like the reason why we're being so nitpicky of Candyman, for example, or The Harder They Fall, for example, or hell, this was today, King Richard, for example, like, why do you think like we're being so nitpicky of that? Like, do you think is that the reason why?
Since she's drinking, I'll go. I'm pretty sure people already know. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think they forgot what I would even go on a limb that the average moviegoer don't even know a good story when they see one. Right? Like, I think that's valid to say. I also think we're so trained to, like, for example, look how excited people are about BMF, Ghost, Hour. They got that new Snoop Dogg movie coming out about his trial. They got look how excited they get in our community when it comes to seeing Black people in negative lights, right? Drug dealers, crack addicts, every stereotype that you can think of, get excited. You will get excited for, right? Like
the drug lord.
average. Yes, that's the average. Now, and I can sit here as filmmakers, as people that's interested in this topic, ask you, there is absolutely no difference between BMF and Canaan. There's no difference between BMF, Canaan, and Power. It's literally the same story dressed up in a different uniform. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And 50 Cent is dominating stars with this content, right? But then we get great content that shows us in a positive light, like the show Lovecraft, and it gets canceled after it gets nominated for 18 Emmys, right? The 50 Cent shows is going to get nominated for nothing, right? It's going to bring in money. He's going to keep making them, and that's about where it's going to representation. Still going to be bad. It's still going to show every Black person as this person, as that person, even though, yes, these could be real life people. It's not everybody. And I think that's the argument, and that's the approach that people forget, is that not everybody is that Black character that they show, right? Like, not all of us are like that. Some of us are, like the review we did of the Kevin Hart movie with about the story where he had to raise his daughter. Like, some of us are like that. Like, that's probably majority of Black men is examples of that, right? But we only want to talk about that, and I think people fall into that I like that idea that that's what a story is, and that's what a great story is, and that's why we love the rom-coms with all the ghetto and the ghetto the ghetto love and stuff like that, where it's a drug dealer and she's sticking by my side, or like the Superfly type stories. And I think that's the expectations that we have. So when we go outside of something like we did, like The Harder They Fall, they have all these questions and concerns that they don't know about, and it's like new to them, and I think it's just hard for them to understand. What do you think?
It's like they're conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna kind of go back a little bit. I don't know if you guys had heard, but after Green Book did come out, a lot of people were calling it like a white savior movie, like the white savior complex, sort of like white man comes in to save Black person and everything's all good again, fighting for my rights. I can't do anything for myself. I need you to stand up for me and give me all this love and support. Because typically those are the types of movies that do really well, at least like in the Academy. It's like, Black person needs help. They don't have any, power on their own. Something from way back when, not even that long ago, but something from the olden days. And that's the type of stuff that people gravitate towards. That's the type of stories that, Hollywood wants to see. Like, yes, this is a story that we want to listen to. And then I think like in the heat of the moment, when the Academy brings all that to light, people are like, yeah, of course, Mahershala Ali, it's dark-skinned man doing his thing. We're here for it. And then I think later on, when you kind of take a second and then you like actually analyze, you're like, damn, haven't we seen this story before? Why is this the only type of story with a Black lead that gets that type of attention? And people have been really calling it out lately. Like, I think there's actually like a poll that talks about this might be like one of the worst movies that won an Oscar ever, especially in that year. And people are kind of like this is the type of story that the Academy only gives attention to, because I mean, it's a bunch of white men, a bunch of white people who are on that in that group giving it attention. So a story, I'm trying to think of the other movie you said. There was another movie you said, or just the show, the shows like Power. They're not watching that. People that are doing the Emmys, they're not going to watch that type of show. That's not the type of show that they're going to actually give attention to, because in their eyes, that type of show doesn't have the quality that they're looking for when it comes to winning awards or giving it any type of notoriety above just audience level.
So there's so many movies that goes into this topic of the question that I asked, and I would love for people watching to comment their answers and their opinions and how they feel about the community so harsh on that. Because I thought the Harder They Fall, I thought it was an amazing film from top to bottom, from casting to production to music to the acting. I thought everything was flawless, right? And I thought they couldn't have got a better actor to play Stagecoach Mary, right? And I think what people don't understand is that these realistic characters, these real people live lives, right? Whether it was to 27 or to 70 years old, they live lives. And that one story that's like prominent of what they did, that was so important that you want every time you hear Rufus Black or Nat Love to be told, it's only a section of their life, right? Like they done and been around other people and those are stories. And I think people don't think that those are stories for Black people, right? Like me, like I can literally make a story about me going to the store and buying jewelry, right? And like I could wake up in the morning and be like, my goal today is to buy a jewelry. That's number one. That's the number one thing to have in a story, right? Is a goal, right? My goal today is to buy jewelry. I want to buy a gold chain, right? And then I could put obstacles in the way of me getting that gold chain, right? I could lose my money. The orange line can go down, right? That's an obstacle that I got to get around. I got to negotiate prices with the jeweler, these different things. And I think people, when they see Black creators make stories like that, they think that it's not real, that's not a real story. Like that's not a story. It needs to have drugs or fighting or violence or baby mothers or, all this other nonsense that is forced into media that we have to see for it to be a good Black story. And I think that's another thing that's kind of hard for us as a community to catch on to, that doesn't have to be that. It can still be a great story, like what The Harder They Fall was.
We got to just have more of an open mind when it comes to artists and Black creators. It's not just this one thing that we've been conditioned to believe for the past decade, not decades or whatever century, but it's like, it is hard though. It's going to be difficult for someone to sit down and really see the true art, like in The Harder They Fall or Candyman. I still know people who, I still know Black people who will call that film trash. And, it is what it is. It's just going to take some time and a little bit of education. And I feel like people have to want to really understand it. They have to want to see what this creator is talking about, see what Nia DaCosta was trying to say, or what Jordan Peele was trying to say in these stories, instead of just saying, oh, this was whack. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? It's like immediately you're nitpicking, you're going for the negative instead of looking for the positive aspects in the project.
Right.
So if we just change our mindset there, look at the positive aspects, and don't just watch it one time, watch it a second time. You could sometimes you gotta watch movies multiple times. You watch films like 2 or 3 times. I watch films 2 or 3 times because I know the way that a film is put together, you're not gonna intake all the information in one sitting. It's impossible. Especially, and in fact, I would argue this: if you watch a film and you intake every little bit of detail in one sitting, it was a shitty film. They didn't put any effort into the story. They didn't do anything with the music. They didn't do anything with the plot, the story, cinematography. It was very lazily done. So I think we just have to put more effort in to really understand the art.
I always wonder, and I always ask myself, some of the best movies that people would say were great films, like you got Tenant on a poster behind you, and I would ask, would people say the same story of Tenant was as great of a movie as it was if the whole cast was Black, if the director was Black, like the same exact story, right? But just implement Black actors in every role in the film, and play it out exactly. Don't change a scene, don't change a line, don't change anything other than the actor being black, the director black, the cinematographer black, etc. Would people still say Tenant is this great movie? Or and the other film that he did that we was just talking about,
Exception.
yeah, take Leo out, put Denzel in, or put black actors in there and see, would that movie still be what it was? I always wonder that about white film, about white creators' films, because a lot of them I don't think are the best, right? I don't think it's that great, but they're held so high for whatever reason, you know.
Definitely. I mean, and then movies with black actors don't always get the same level of, you know, marketing and wide reach, and that's all part of the conversation. And the whole topic is just like, you know, sometimes, you know, would you want a white person directing black actors? But it's like, you know, like I think a lot of places sort of don't give black creators that space. So it's like, is there even a possible way for a black director to get on this set right now with the same level of respect that, you know, that white director is going to get, and level of freedom and control? And, you know, I've been in here a million times. I know what I'm doing to even get the chance to make that movie with that all black cast. I feel like that's a huge part of the conversation, is they don't even get the chance to get up there and, you know, do all of that. And it's just been going on for so long that at this point, it's like, you know, there's barely any black directors who have such a strong hold and, you know, name in the industry, who have the same recognition as half of these white directors. And like, I can only off the top of my head name like two who I know of, who I've known since I was a child, like Spike Lee. Like, that's the only person I can think of off the top of my head who's black, who I've known my entire life, that has the same, you know, like level of directorial, like, you know, height as like Martin Scorsese. You know what I mean?
I think we should just start doing more research on these black films, see who's directing it, see who's writing it, who's doing the cinematography, who's a part of the creative process, and really
like
get
King Richard.
Yes, yeah.
Yo, we gotta talk about that. Let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about it.
Man,
Have we all watched the film? Have you watched the film? Everybody
I haven't watched it yet.
No, it's not on Netflix, is it? Or it's on HBO
It's on
Max?
HBO Max, right? So okay, we can talk about it really without like talking about it.
Yeah,
because I think where we was gonna go
what
with
people
it
have been saying.
Which
is
is
everybody's
insane.
getting all tight, and I don't know. It's funny. It's really funny. Because I mean, not gonna lie, a part of me was like, "Oh, it's not the dad." Interesting, but I never thought like to some heights that everybody's taking it to. Like, you know, it's just real funny that this story about two black women is getting pushed down to something about the man. Like, hold on now.
It makes
this is what irks me though, because for years and years and years we're begging for a great black story and great black representation, and then when you give it to them, they smack it out your hand. Oh, this is trash. No, oh, you telling the story about the father and not Venus and Serena Williams. What like what was the whole argument that they say was like anti what? Like, what were they saying? I don't even know. I didn't even go on Twitter to look at it because it just, like it was crazy.
What makes
I don't understand that.
What makes me mad is because they're making it seem like it's not their dad. Like it's the parent, bro. It's the person.
Random ass man.
Yeah, it's the person that put the racket in their hands.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they literally wouldn't be who they are without their parents. Right? And what makes me even more mad is because I seen it, is that he's the main one. Like, he's the one that's like, yo, we're gonna play tennis. But the mother has just as big of a role. He was just more vocal, right? Like, he was just that, I got a plan, let's do the plan. And she was, you know, in this role of like, I believe in your plan, I believe in our kids, let's do it. But both was there, you know, they both showed both of them. So, but what makes me mad is that title King Richard, it's produced by them. They literally are on tour, touring the film with Will Smith for people to go see the movie. So they had part in the film. They're producers, so they had parts in paying for the film, and they had parts in the artistic view, the message, the whatever, you know, the direction that the film is going. And if they even did some research, they will find out that they wanted to do this film for their father as a tribute, you know, to like, yo, this is
Wow, you see?
thank you. I'm saying, like, these Black daughters are thanking their father for what he has done for them in their careers, because they really wouldn't be who they are without their parent. And like I said, make it seem like it's some random man, like some coach.
That's what I'm saying.
In the
it's
park
like,
and was like,
why?
They look like they could play tennis.
Why is it such an issue and such a problem that we're displaying a positive Black man on the screen doing what he has to do and not, you know, selling drugs or killing nobody or doing a fucking drive-by? It's like now he's actually in their life, putting in work, in the rain, helping them train, do all that, and y'all got the nerve to like throw out some like negative. Come on, bro. All right, guys, thank you for watching the show. Jen, we're happy that you're joining us, and
we'll be
definitely looking forward to seeing you on more of the episodes and getting in on these conversations about Black representation and everything related to film. Guys, make sure you check us out on all platforms. That's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. And we out.
Certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified Real. Everybody.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is Certified